All right, guys, in the last video that I did, talked about how selling life insurance in the P&C world isn't necessarily a skill problem, but it's a design problem. And specifically designed around the timing of when we're trying to sell life insurance, when we're trying to open life insurance conversations. Your customers, your auto and home customers that you have, your new household quotes that you're doing for auto and home, these people are coming to you for auto and home insurance. They're not coming to you for life insurance. And so for that alone, timing is everything with cross-selling life insurance in the P&C world. And there are moments where life insurance doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, where it feels like a completely different conversation, and there's not really a way to make it complement the home and auto naturally, that make life insurance, selling life insurance a little bit more difficult in those moments. I like to call those low leverage moments. Okay. And the advice that most P&C agencies are giving their teams is that, like, look, if we want to sell more life insurance, we got to bring it up more. We got to ask more people, ask everyone on every single phone call. At the end of the day, that advice is dangerous because not every moment is a good moment to sell life insurance to. If our team is putting all this energy and time and confidence into these low leverage moments and they're not getting anywhere in their conversations, they're getting knee-jerk responses and objections from customers, and they're getting rejected over and over and over again. I mean, it's not going to work. They're eventually going to just stop asking because it's not working for them. And so asking everyone isn't the best advice, but asking at the right moments can absolutely change everything. So in this video, I'm going to talk about what the high leverage moments are in the P&C world. The moments where life insurance sells itself. And it sells itself because of a few different things that are going in your favor, that are on your side, that maybe you haven't thought about before. But timing is absolutely everything with cross-selling life insurance in the P&C world. And, instead of telling our team to ask everybody, let's identify these 7 specific interactions where life insurance truly does sell itself and help our team work and kind of build a conversation sequence around those moments to sell life insurance. And I'm telling you, if you can do that, things are going to absolutely change. And, I want you to think about how many of these moments, as we go throughout these 7 different moments, I want you to think about how many of these moments your agency is having, right now. Like, how many of these moments are actually happening right now in your agency every week without a single life insurance conversation attached to them? Because I'm telling you, once you see it, you can't unsee it. So let's get into it. First and foremost, not every call is created equal in terms of selling life insurance. Some are much better than others. The ones that are high leverage are ones that have these 3 things, one or all of these 3 things. There's natural risk awareness. And what I mean by this is the customer is already somewhat thinking about the gap that they face. There's some form of budget movement, meaning, the customer might be planning to spend more money because they purchased something new and they know that their bill is going to change, or maybe that they're adding something additional, adding a driver to their policy, their budget. There's some movement there. They're already planning and expecting to pay a little bit more. On the flip side of that, there's also moments where premiums go down. People save money and that premium's just leaving the agency. Point is there's budget moving, because here's the thing is, if Coulter is planning on his bill to change, I am more likely to maybe add more to that because my bill is already planning to change, versus if my bill wasn't planning to change and I wasn't planning or expecting that, for me to want to pay more and change that is a little bit more difficult. And then the third thing is there's contextual relevance. Again, we are in the P&C world. We are trying to sell life insurance to our auto and home customers. If we don't, position our life insurance conversation around the auto insurance or the home insurance that our customers and prospects know us for and are coming to us for, it feels like a completely different conversation, and a lot of objections start to come up, and customers start to associate with life insurance as something that's completely different. We got to take care of my auto and home today. The beautiful thing about selling life insurance in the P&C world is we get a lot of contextual relevance with the home and auto. And if we can help the customer see why life insurance and how life insurance could complement the auto policy that they have with us or the homeowner's quote that they're getting from us, it carries a lot more weight, and it prevents a lot of customers from just, rejecting you off the cuff because they don't feel like they came to you to talk about life insurance. Okay, so not every call is created equal. Let's focus on the ones that have one of these three things or all of these three things, and we're going to dive into exactly which ones those are. Here are the 7 high leverage moments that happen in our P&C agencies every single day. These are when customers are most receptive to buying life insurance because each of these moments has one of these three things. There's natural awareness to risk, there's budget movement, and there's contextual relevance. Okay, so added or swapped vehicles is number one. This is a really big one. Homeowners or renters quotes, teen drivers that are being added, removed vehicles, renewal decreases, claims follow-ups, and new business quotes. So let's dive into each of these and explain why these moments are high leverage and what we have on our side with each of these moments. The first one is added or swapped vehicles. Okay, and when you think about this, Coulter goes to the dealership to purchase a new vehicle, whether he wanted to or not. His wife drug him to the dealership, and just like he thought, they're leaving with a vehicle. Okay, Coulter and his wife are excited about their new vehicle that they're purchasing. Okay, there's an element of excitement there, but when Coulter sits down with the finance guy at the dealership to take out this loan and have this new monthly payment, there's stress that comes along with thinking about this debt, right? I mean, conversations going through my mind when I'm sitting there is like, man, are we actually buying this thing? Like, come on, like, aren't we trying to get ahead financially in life? Is this a smart decision to take on this debt for a new vehicle and this monthly payment? Well, no, but we're doing it anyway, right? There's an element of stress that comes along when people purchase vehicles that have loans on them. They are naturally thinking about that risk. They're a little bit worried about that debt and that monthly payment. Now, I'm not explicitly saying Coulter's worried about dying and his wife having to take care and deal with this loan and this monthly mortgage pay, or this monthly car payment. Not necessarily saying that, but there still is an element of that, they're a little worried about this debt that they're taking on. It's new. And so because of that, the risk awareness is more prevalent here just because of this specific moment. Buying the vehicles fresh on Coulter's mind. He was just with the finance guy. And so this moment in time is a really good moment where Coulter's going to be more open to a life insurance conversation than others. And the other thing is, if Coulter's purchasing a new 2025 Mercedes, I'm going to be adding it to my policies. I'm expecting and planning on my premium going up because I'm adding something to my policy. And so life insurance here aligns with both logical concerns, the debt and the payments, and the emotional concerns of that stress and responsibility. That if we can have our team have a conversation sequence to know what to say when people call in to add or change out their vehicles, to position life insurance to complement this auto policy, I'm telling you, because of the moment itself, a lot of people like the idea of having this coverage in place, and they will say yes to a life insurance policy that complements their new vehicle. Okay, so the customer already expects their premium to increase. Big one. There is a new loan or debt obligation. Okay, so it's new to them. There's this excitement, but also this stress that coexist together. And so life insurance in this type of a conversation feels like protection for this obligation that they just created. The next one is going to be homeowners or renters quotes. Okay, this is a very strong risk awareness window because I want you to think about it. If you are, you just purchased a new home, you need to get homeowners insurance, right? The mortgage companies, unless you paid it off, right? Most people get mortgages on their homes, but you with the mortgage company, they're like, you need to get insurance. And so you're like, okay, I'll get insurance. But think about what's going on in the customer's mind when they just purchased a new home, right? Don't you think that they've been looking at numbers for a while? They've been looking at the interest rate. They're like, I'm financing this much with the bank and here's my monthly payment. Kind of the same type of conversation that's going on in their minds as with an added or new vehicle as a homeowner's policy, right? They're a little worried about this debt that they're taking on in this monthly payment. And they're naturally, because they're thinking about it in that way, this risk window is there. Okay. They're already mentally in protection mode. Okay. Life insurance isn't a new idea. It's just the next logical thing that will help them be, fully protected and fully covered, right? Because here's the other thing is, like, when people purchase a new home, they want to do everything in their power to keep that home. And I'm not explicitly saying that, hey, Coulter's thinking about his wife having to, struggle with this monthly mortgage payment if he's not around and he dies. I'm not saying he's thinking about that, but when you help Coulter see it from that lens, it naturally carries weight because of this specific moment. It's fresh. We're thinking about that debt we're taking on for the mortgage and that monthly mortgage payment. Okay. And we want to be able to keep the house. And, again, we're excited about the house. Even with a renter's insurance, right? Like, if someone calls in and needs a renter's quote, it's communicating that, like, look, they are renting an apartment or a home and they have a monthly rent payment. Don't you think that there's an element of stress that's associated with those rent payments, right? I mean, I think sometimes we get streamlined in our thinking and think that life insurance really only makes sense with homeowners, customers, not really renters customers. I think we're missing the boat here, right? Because at the end of the day, if Coulter has a family and they're renting a home, and if something terrible happens to Coulter, the rent's still going to need to be paid for my family to be able to stay in that apartment or house. The rent payments aren't going to go away. And yeah, Coulter's, family might just be able to move, but guess what's going to come to the next place that they move into? Another rent payment. And so, because people are naturally thinking about their rent and their mortgages when we get a quote their homeowners or renters policy, this is a really strong moment or moments to make life insurance part of the conversation. And again, I want you to think about, how can I position life insurance and sell life insurance to complement this homeowner's policy or this renter's policy that I'm quoting? Okay. So housing expenses are top of mind. And this is often people's biggest bill that they pay every month. Strong protection mindset already exists. Customers are already thinking, what protects this home? What protects this payment? Okay. And life insurance just naturally connects to these conversation to, help with income protection and help make sure that these payments are always going to get paid so that the family can stay in the house or stay in the apartment. Okay. And so this moment works because of the timing of the moment. The homeowner's policy, the renter's policy, those payments, they're top of mind. And so let's teach our team a conversation sequence that can help them sell the value of life insurance that complements the homeowner's policy and or renter's policy in such a beautiful way that makes sense for people. The next one is teen drivers that are getting added to policies. This is a big one. For some of you, you have 16-year-olds, you have, young kids that are driving in your household. Others of you, maybe like me, I've got a 6-year-old. I can't imagine when this guy gets his license in 10 years, how I'm going to feel. I can tell you a couple things. I'm going to definitely feel a little bit worried about my son being on the road. I think that's just a parent's natural instinct. But the other thing is I'm kind of probably going to be a little bit worried about how much I'm going to have to pay in insurance to have this guy driving on the road. Okay. So those two things are very important. I'm worried about my son driving on the road. I'm worried about the risks. I'm worried about, the worst case thing possibly happening, but I'm also worried about what my bill is going to do. I'm thinking it's going to be a lot more expensive than I'm already paying. And so with those two things in mind, this is a moment where we can just position life insurance to solve these kind of concerns that parents have and just make them feel a little bit better with their teenagers driving on the road. Okay. And so it becomes emotionally relevant here rather than just informational. Okay. The parents are feeling these things when you get to talk to them. So this moment is really good. Okay. The parents are already experiencing this immediate spike in risk awareness. They're worried about their teenager getting on the road. Now, pro tip, this isn't just a good opportunity to sell life insurance. This is also a really good opportunity to sell umbrella policies, right? Because you can educate the parent on liability coverages on their car insurance policy and how that's going to cover their teen driver. And, parents they already know that teenagers don't have experience. They're already, they've heard stories of bad accidents happening. And so the umbrella policy can really sell itself here, and the life insurance can sell itself when we know the conversation. Okay. The premium, they're expecting this to go up. They really are. There is this vulnerability of having this young driver on there. And, they're really just, they want to make sure that they're protected and their driver is covered. But these are the things that are going on in the parents' minds when they call in to add their teen drivers, which is what makes this moment really work. The next one is a removed vehicle. This is one that I don't see enough P&C agencies utilizing. Like, this is a very much a logical play, and it's very easy to get life insurance policies on the books with this. So the scenario is this: Coulter's got 4 vehicles with you. He just sold one. He calls into your office to remove a vehicle because, he sold it. I went from paying $400 a month to $300 a month. Okay. That $400 a month has been normalized. I've been used to paying that. $100 a month is, I'm saving that money. Yeah, cool. But that money is also leaving your agency. If we can offer Coulter life insurance and sell life insurance to an immediate need that Coulter has, and then use this premium leaving the agency to offset the cost of the life policy, it becomes really easy to say yes to. I mean, at the end, after you've done your value presentation and you're selling Coulter on the value of what life insurance will do for him and his family, you simply use this premium leaving the agency as your close. You say, hey, if we can get that coverage for you that would pay off the house so that spouse and kids wouldn't have to deal with that monthly mortgage payment, we can actually get that for you. And with canceling your one vehicle that you just sold, we can get that coverage on there for you. And here's the cool thing. Your bill would actually still go down by about $60 a month to have that on there, right? It just makes so much sense. Now it's like, oh yeah, I can, I'm canceling this vehicle, so I'm saving $100 a month, but I can get this coverage that'll pay off my mortgage, so my wife doesn't have to deal with that, and my bill still goes down from the other one. Like, that's a no-brainer. That's an easy thing for people to say yes to, but that is the power of this moment. Okay, premiums, going away from the agency. Okay, but people had been normalized to paying a certain amount that, it's easy for them to say yes to. Okay, there's no spending resistance, right? It's like we're not paying more because we're delivering it in that way. Okay. And the customer's already paying that amount. And, life insurance just becomes reallocation decision of their money, not necessarily a buying decision. Okay. The fifth one is renewal decreases. Again, same concept here. Customers have been normalized to paying a certain amount. Say Coulter's been paying, $200 a month, but he's got a premium decrease coming up that's dropping that to, maybe $170 a month. Okay. If we can be proactive with these renewal decreases, call our customers, make an offer to get life insurance to solve an immediate need, sell life insurance on the value, right? But then utilize this decrease to offset the cost of life policy, it makes sense for people. Okay. They, it doesn't feel like they're paying more. It feels like they're getting more. Okay. Like, there's freed up premium that they've already accepted. And a lot of this we've already kind of covered, but customers rarely defend the money that they already were prepared to spend. Okay. And life insurance just fits as, again, we're redirecting that savings to get something in place for them. Okay. And this really only is going to carry weight if we can have our teams have good conversations and sell the value of life insurance, right? Obviously when people remove their vehicles, when their premium's going down in any sort of way, it's easy for our teams to want to just sell life insurance as a life insurance policy and that we can get it for them because their premium's going down. And so they're not going to necessarily pay more for it, right? It's very easy for people to sell life insurance off of a discount. Like, you can get this policy and it's free, right? But what we don't want to do that. We don't want our teams doing that. We want them to sell the value of the life insurance policy and utilize this as kind of the cherry on top, what makes the decision really easy to do. Because if we're not selling the value of the policy, why would the customer choose to keep the policy when their rates go up and they see that they've got this policy and they see they can save some money? They were never anchored to the value. They were just anchored to the fact that they could get it and their bill wasn't going to change. Okay, so it's very important that we're still selling the value with these moments, even though this moment makes for a very simple, easy to say yes to life insurance policy. Okay. The sixth one is claims follow-ups. Okay. The risk stops being theoretical. Like, they just went through it. They lived it. And so if you can take care of your customers with the claims, that's step number one, right? We can't expect to sell something to someone if we first haven't delivered on the promise that we made them when we wrote their auto insurance. Okay. But when they have a claim, insurance becomes kind of real. They start to really understand the importance of having insurance, and there's a lot of gratitude there, right? But they also just lived this moment. Okay. So it takes it from, oh, this is never going to happen to me. Oh, something happened here. Now my brain thinks more could possibly happen. And so this is a very strong window where people are naturally, aware of the risks that they face. Okay. And so this conversation becomes very easy because it's one that we're just going to enter to the one that's already happening in their mind. Okay, so it stops being theoretical. Emotions are at their peak. Claims times are an emotional time for people. Protection, they're really thinking about their policy. They're thinking about differently about their coverage and insurance. Okay, so that's activated. Trust and credibility with your agency are hopefully elevated. Hopefully you've done a good job at taking care of them. And I'm telling you, when you can over deliver come claim time in your office, it will set you and your team up for life insurance opportunities. And so that trust and that credibility can be built by just delivering good customer service and making sure that people are taken care of with the claims department, with the auto body shop that maybe you recommended, right? And so, the customers are no longer imagining, well, what if this would happen? They're like, okay, this could happen. They just experienced it. And so this is a natural time where we can help them maybe say, hey, look, I'm glad that this wasn't worse, but if it was worse, let's review your coverage to make sure your policy can do exactly what you want it to do come claim time. Because my goal is if something happens again, you call us, we can say yes come claim time. Okay. And I'm sure you're thinking, differently about your insurance now than you did before this happened. Okay. And that's generally what I see. And so let's just make sure that this is set up and that it can do exactly what you want it to do. And now you can bridge into a natural exposure of like, well, what happens if it was worse? Like, what happened if you didn't walk away from that accident? What would happen to the loan on the vehicle? What would happen to the house? What would happen to monthly mortgage payments? Could spouse maintain her current lifestyle or their current lifestyle without your income coming in? Or what would that look like, right? We're able to take them to a kind of a worst case scenario, but we want to get them there so it creates a demand for them to see why they maybe want to get a policy in place for life insurance. And then the seventh and last high leverage moment, guys, there's a few more, but these are the ones that are happening day to day in the agency that if you can get conversation sequences around, I'm telling you, life insurance won't be difficult anymore. Okay. Because these are the moments when people are most receptive to buy. But this new business quote, think about all the households that we're quoting every single day in our agencies. These are already very open conversations because these people that are getting quotes and that we're quoting, they're already kind of planning on making changes. There's a reason they're shopping. They're not happy with the current carrier they're with. They're not happy with the rates that they're getting. Maybe they're not happy with the claims experience that they had. And so these are just natural moments when people are already planning on making changes. If we can position life insurance, in a compelling way, it feels like part of the auto and home coverages, not something that's completely separate. It feels like a comprehensive plan rather than auto insurance, home insurance, and life insurance. Okay. And so the positioning is very important in these, but the moment itself is very high leverage to cross-sell and bundle some life insurance. Okay. They're naturally open. We're already having these financial discussions with people. They're planning on making a change. They're starting, hopefully, your new business conversation and the ones that your team's having is helping them think about the coverage and not just make the decision based solely on the price. But if, we can get the customer thinking about the coverage and the importance of the coverage on their auto insurance, their home insurance, there are places in that conversation where life insurance fits beautifully. And if our team has the right words and we know what to say to transition to life insurance, we know what to say to build the value and sell what the policy will actually do. We're going to write policies because it feels comprehensive. The life insurance feels like it complements the auto insurance they're calling us about, the homeowner's insurance. And the biggest thing here is that we want to layer life insurance into the P&C conversation. We don't want to treat it as an add-on or as an afterthought because it just doesn't work. We want to layer it in, make it fit within the auto quote that we're doing or the home quote that we're doing or the renter's quote that we're doing instead of treating it as an afterthought. Okay. So these high leverage moments work, guys, because there's awareness around the risk. It's already there. We're not having to fabricate and create these gaps. We're just showing them the ones that already exist. People's budget is already moving. Okay. And so we're redirecting and we're not adding, which is key. Okay. So it makes the money make sense. It makes it easy for the customer to say yes to. And the context of these transactions allows and justifies a solution with life insurance, right? It feels natural. It feels like an extension of coverage rather than something that's completely separate. And it's definitely not intrusive. Okay. So stop forcing life insurance into every conversation. Instead, start with these 7 moments where customers are already ready. There's less pressure, there's less resistance, and you're going to write more policies if you can just nail these moments. Now, coming next, it's important to understand, okay, now that we've got these moments, we've got, the added swapped vehicles, we've got the teen drivers, we've got the renewal decreases, we've got the removed vehicles, we've got the, new business quotes, and we've got the claims follow-ups. There's another one I'm missing, but you get the point. It's now important that we understand our strategy. How are we going to position life insurance within each of these moments? Because that's why customers choose to buy life insurance, because of what life insurance will do for them. But if we can't nail our positioning and if we can't help our team nail the positioning and, build their conversation around that positioning, we're just selling life insurance as a product rather than selling what it will actually do. Okay. And so in the next training, I'm going to dive into how can we position life insurance to make sense in these everyday auto and home conversations that we're having. How can it make sense for the customer, and what different positionings are easy for customers to see, understand, and say yes to? And we're going to talk about strategy. Okay. But here's what we're going to do is we're going to help you build the conversation around one need that you're solving. Okay, we're going to help you, instead of having a shotgun approach to selling life insurance, which is the spray and pray. We're going to try to sell the big death benefit, and there's no, real structure, organization to our conversation. It's just we're bringing up life insurance, and we're going to help you have more of a sniper approach, which is we're very strategic with our positioning of what we're selling life insurance to do for that specific customer or prospect. And then I'm going to show you how all of these policies that we start to pick up from these moments, we can make worth more on the back end. We are really good at helping you sell more policies in your PNC agency and make those policies worth more. So looking forward to this next one on life insurance positioning and strategy, and we'll see you in there.